What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Today, we have a very special episode of Coaching with Chris because today is Coaching with Trev. We get to turn the tables. I get to host the podcast. This is something I asked Chris to do, and I'll tell you guys why I asked him to do this. But today, on Coaching with Trev, we get to bring on a guest who I think is one of the sharpest people in the entire mortgage industry. And I don't say that loosely. I've spoken at a lot of events. I've met a lot of high-level people in mortgage. And when it comes to the knowledge that this guy has, I think if you have to put a Mount Rushmore of the mortgage industry together, Chris's face has to be on it. Chris has ran businesses. He's done the actual work to get there, and his knowledge of how to grow a business, how to build a company, how to build a team is unmatched, in my opinion. And so I'm extremely excited for our special guest, who you guys all know very well. And the fact that we get to flip the script. The reason I asked Chris to do this, every time I have conversations with Chris, I push on little things that he coaches, and you stress test it. And that's the really cool part about doing one-on-one coaching that you don't get the opportunity to do when you speak from stage or you speak in bigger groups, is push back on different tactics. So every time I'm with Chris, I try to find that opportunity of stress testing the different things. And it just opens up these doors of conversations where I'm like, I wish people got to hear this. And so after I got to be on an episode of Coaching with Chris, I'm like, Chris, can we flip the script? I want to be able to interview you because the knowledge that I've gotten to pick up from these one-on-one conversations is something that I think the world would get a lot from. And so today, we're going to bring on our special guest, Mr. Chris Vinson himself.
Yo, boy, does this feel weird or what?
What's going on, Chris? Welcome to Coaching with Trev.
Yeah, Coaching with Trev today.
Feels good. I feel powerful, man.
I mean, I dressed up like Trev.
I like the hat.
I needed to fit the room.
There we go. Welcome, Chris. I'm really excited about today, man.
Me too.
Is anything off limits, Chris?
No, ask me anything.
Cool. So I kind of gave this in the intro.
I mean, maybe even the audience might ask me something. Who knows?
Yeah. If you guys have questions, drop them in the comments. Yesterday, I posted on my Instagram to get my audience's feel of like, what should I talk to Chris about? And there's a few things I want to dive into. Obviously, like when it comes to sales tactics, I think you are one of the absolute best in our industry with teaching these. And so I definitely want to go down the lane of some sales tactics. But also when me and you have talked, there's a lot of other things that seem to come up that I honestly get the most out of, even more than the sales stuff, is these things on like the business that you've built. I want to talk about, and the culture that you've built there, the relationships with your family, with your wife that I got to see firsthand. Those are things that I think are so rare and extraordinary, and I want to dive into those. Investing in your business and investing in yourself is something that I know you do, and is something that you've seen returns on, and I want to talk about that.
Okay.
And then also building relationships and networking. So there's some themes that I want to dive into today. But I think we start off with some sales tactics. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
So I think maybe we role play this a little bit.
Okay.
Because like I said, in group settings, when you're talking to the masses, a lot of times, and as someone who teaches, I know I run into this. People want a tactic, you give them the tactic, they don't do it, right? And it's usually because there's some friction point that's keeping them from executing on that thing. And so if we role play, I want to try and find those different friction points and help get work on how I can mitigate those. And so if I'm a producer and I want to add 2 more deals a month, 2 more closed deals a month, what do you think is the best approach to do that? For a lot of producers, that could be doubling their volume, could be a 50% increase. Even if big producers doing 10 deals a month, that's a 20% bump in business. That's substantial. But I feel like there's got to be a tactic to just add another 2 deals. What do you think is the best way to do that?
Wow, big question. All right. This is so simple. I just don't think you'll do it, but I'm going to tell you what it is, and then I'm going to tell you why.
Perfect.
Ask. That's it.
It
is the hardest thing for a loan officer to do, is to ask for a referral, ask for a loan, to ask for help, to ask for an introduction, to ask. Like there's 5 buckets right there that like will totally change your life if you could master the thing of ask. Now, when I say master, You're like, oh, I need the perfect script, or I need this, or I need that. I'm like, no, you don't need the perfect script. You need to get this noggin to get out of the way so that you can ask. First of all, humans like to help humans. So you already have an advantage for yourself because humans like to help humans. So when we ask somebody for, hey, who do you know that I really should get connected with that could be great for my business? That's not lead. That's not commission breath. That's like asking to be more involved in and getting to know additional people that you could work together. Like you and I heard you on stage, and I'm like, I just wrote Trevor, and my to-dos was get to know Trevor. So the first step is reaching out and being able to get to connect, to give gratitude. If you remember this call, like giving gratitude. And then we started to work on this awesome relationship, like understanding Link Spot, understanding Windsor, or understanding Plains. And you've done some amazing things for me. And I hope that I can continue to pour back that same value. But it started with a goal, which was an ask, which was a relationship thing. Like, look, you want 2 more loans a month? Figure out a way to ask your database for business. You're going to have more than 2 loans a month. You're going to have more loans, but for some reason, loan officers won't do it. I said to a loan officer the other day, Trevor, I said, I'll give you $250,000 for your database today. And he goes, no. I go, well, then why don't you treat it like it? You haven't called it in years. It's prime. It's prime.
Okay, so let's stick on this because I've heard you talk about database, and I think you approached this specific. This was one of the first conversations me and you actually had, where I was like, okay, this is next level, because I've heard we've heard it enough times, right? Like nurture your database, take care of your database, and like you said, for some reason people don't. What is the reason? And so for me, there's 2 things that I'm curious your thoughts on, and you kind of touched on this, but I'd like to go a little bit deeper. The first one is just simply call reluctance. And if I'm being honest, this is even something that I struggle with still, is that call reluctance because of like what you said, commission breath. They know I'm just calling to get business. They don't want to hear from me. I haven't talked to them. So now I'm going to just call them and be like, hey, Chris, it's Trevor. Can you make me money? Right. It's tough. So how do you, and I'm guessing it's more psychological than anything. How do you navigate that?
Well, first of all, the psychological thing is that it's easy for us to make it about us. And we do that we say commission breath. Oh, you made it about you. We say, I just don't want to bother them. Oh, we made it about you. But actually, our clients love to hear from us. It's actually the opposite of what we think. Number 2, what's the thing that they're the most excited to hear about, which is how much equity they have in their home? That is the most exciting thing that they could ever hear from. Instead, as loan officers, we concentrate on rate, right? Yeah. Or if they have MI. Well, that's down the road in the conversation, not the lead in. And so because we don't know how to lead in, then we think that's commission breath, and then we don't call. Like there was a couple people that I had to call yesterday. I didn't want to call them either. I didn't, but I did. And it turned out to be beautiful conversations. But in the beginning, I didn't want to. And so like if we call the database and we go, Trevor, congratulations, you actually have $300,000 in equity according to my math. That's amazing. Awesome purchase. Great job. I just have a question. What are you going to do with it? And that sparks this fun conversation, right? With Trevor. And maybe Trevor says nothing. And you're like, I like it. Look, if anyone has equity or you know someone that has equity that's thinking about using it sometime, would you please connect me? That's the ask. He remembers that when he has a talk about what's his property or his buddy, or he's at a party, or he's wherever, they remember Trevor. And like, we've got to do things inside our database to become more memorable. Sending them a magazine, an email, or a flyer is not enough. Like there's things that we can say in a conversation that will make us rememberable. And then they'll remember us and they're like, wait, you got to call Chris. And that leads all up into that famous one single word is getting good at ask.
Something that you just said makes me think of this. There's this coaching kind of tactic that is like the story we tell ourselves. And the best analogy of this is like going to the gym. So someone who's like forcing themselves to go to the gym, they don't want to, they know they need to. The way they approach this is like, man, I got to wake up. I got to put on all my gym clothes. I got to fill up my water bottle. I got to get the gym bag. I got to drive there, walk into the thing, go past the check-in, put my stuff in the locker, lock it up, and then I can start working out. Versus someone who goes to the gym says, I just wake up and go to the gym. Right? Same exact process, but the story we tell ourselves completely changes that experience. And that is one thing I pick up from you is like the story you tell yourself when dialing is completely different than what me and I think a lot of people who have that call reluctance have, which is like, what if they do this? What if they do this? And we build it up as this big thing. And like you said, they're usually happy to hear from you. Right? And I can't really think of a time where I've picked up the phone and it went bad.
Right.
Yeah. So like, what is it that made it where like I've called like, oh man, I don't want to reach out to them. They're going to every single time I push through that and make the call, it always goes good. So it's so weird that like our brains don't get trained with that positive stimulation of like, oh, this is a good thing. We still have it. And so, yeah, I think 100% like the psychological barrier. And then there's one other piece that I think is really cool on this. So I've taught content for the last 5 years, teach people how to make social media content better. And it is very, very similar to what you said here. If your goal is focused on you, the content does not work. So if you're making this to get views, to get leads, to get clout and build an audience, people see right through it and it doesn't work. If your goal is to serve and provide value, you win. And so I love the way that you kind of, it's not a scripting, but more of a framework that you'll follow is you get them a win early. Hey, you have equity. Start the conversation. What are you going to do with it? And then you know that in your heart as a loan officer, when you call somebody, there are a lot of things you can help them with. If they have questions about literally anything finance related, you should be the resource for that. So every time you call should not be like, I'm calling to get something. It's I'm calling to give something. That flips the entire way that you go about that.
I got challenged about this the other day. They said, well, Chris, how am I going to call a first-time home buyer and tell them they have a ton of equity in their home? I go, you know what I'd ask a first-time home buyer? Tell me your new real estate goals in the next 5 years. And how many people have so fun talking about it? And then they go, I don't know. And you're like, I know you looked at Zillow, right? And they're like, yeah. I go, well, do you want a bigger house someday, a smaller house someday, a second house, an investment house? I don't know. Like, what would it be?
Yeah.
And like, how cool would it be as a loan officer to be able to dream with your clients than to let your clients dream online?
Huge.
Facilitate
and craft that for them.
Yeah. And now you've got it. And just having the client say it, by the way, speeds it all up. And you got them to do it.
So with that, I think that's a great point is that if there's any, whether it's a lead, whether it's a past client, no matter the person in your database, that simple question of like, what could you help them with? I think makes that entire process easier. First time home buyer. Well, what could you help them with? Planning for the next one, buying investment, right? So massive. On the theme of database, you don't call it a database.
I got sick of calling a database because I couldn't get the loan officers to do it. So I was like, what would be a word that make a loan officer think about their database differently? And I spent, a coach of mine was beating me up about working on my portfolio of money. And I'm like, my financial planner handles it. He's like, yeah, but what kind of reporting are you getting? What are you analyzing? What are you like? Are you truly involved or are you just handing it over and just letting them run the money? And I go, honestly, I'm just giving him money every month and he manages the money. And I get a report, says, what was my rate of return? He's like, it's not enough. It's too much money not to manage. You got to manage it. And so I was like, that's really good. What if we switch the word database to portfolio? And what if we started to have to really truly work it like it has a rate of return? And, you know, I'm working with loan officers right now on ROO, which is rate of opportunity, and being able to truly be able to measure it. And I think look, your portfolio or database is the biggest asset a loan officer has, and yet it's the least utilized. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And so I
1000%.
was like, I would rather have you have someone. And look, there is a math. If you're a loan officer and you've been a loan officer a long time and you got 4,000 people, I get that that's overwhelming. I want you to pick the top 400 and you manage that, which is normally your clients the last year, 2 years, 3 years, depending on how many loans you do.
Yep.
And then have a team run the rest. And that way there's a VIP to your portfolio and there is general population, which in a sense is a lot like what LinkSpot's teaching, is running them through the funnel.
Yep.
And that way it's manageable. But that is more of a system that you can capitalize on. Who wouldn't want 400 people helping me sell every month? Like, you're saying you can't get 2 loans out of that? It's silly.
It honestly is. And like you said, this is so with LinkSpot, one of the things when I used to do the onboarding calls myself, I would talk to people and it was always like figuring out how do we get the most out of LinkSpot for you, right? And so I'd be asking questions, where does most of your business come from? And it's insane how the majority of loan officers, it's past clients. It's like, okay, so this is, if not your number one, within your number 2, worst case, top 3, already number 1 sources of business. So what are you doing to nurture them? I just do a good job when I close, and your number 1 referral source that outproduces, like, your best referral partner can still not even come close to what your database can, and you don't do anything. And we have this like automated series on LinkSpot for past clients. That's always the layup of like, okay, if you want to get your money back, run this. And people don't do it. Yeah. The one thing, and this is something me and you had a really cool dialogue on, and I get this question a lot too, is what if I'm new to the business, only been in the business a year and a half, I don't have a database?
Yeah, 2 things. You have a phone full of so many contacts. And 2 is, if you got married or just got married, who's on the wedding list? That's where we start.
I love that.
Yeah. Why do we have to make this so hard? And it's fun to be able, we used to send out a penny letter and we glued a penny on it. And we just said, and now pennies don't even exist anymore. So you have to do a nickel or whatever. Yeah. But that tells you how old I am. But look, I value the penny and I value your money, and I want to help you in your next mortgage type of letter. And it was fun because people first concentrated on the penny, which made them read the letter. Otherwise, they wouldn't read it. But who's going to glue a penny on and send somebody something? I don't care. Send them a quarter and be able to really, truly talk about money. And so anyways, look, if you're new, awesome, because you shouldn't have any of these other thought processes. You should be fierce. You should be ready to go. And who went better if they were good enough to put in your phone? They're good enough to put in your phone. Shouldn't you call them and let them know? Because again, people want to help people, but we have to do the one word is ask.
So to put this into something more tangible, for if I just started, I'm year and a half in.
Yeah.
How do I actually curate that into something that I can nurture? Right? Is it simply just Excel sheet, throw everything in there and go through my Facebook friends, go through my phone book? I love the idea of your wedding list. And it's funny because it made me think of also, like, who do you mail Christmas cards to, if you still mail Christmas cards? And like, first year in the business, I actually mailed out a Christmas card specifically for my business with a picture of me and my wife, and then my business card in it, and said what I was doing. And it is insane what that resulted in, just because that's your database, right? I've never thought about it until you just said that. That is nurturing a database.
That is nurturing a database.
So what are like the steps I could take, right? Like you said, ask, call them. What are some other ways that I could make my database aware of what I do and how they can help me?
Okay, most misunderstood piece. No matter what, anything that you would do, it's going to be okay. Like, there's not a wrong way to do it, first of all.
Love that.
There just isn't. 2 is, people love a handwritten letter or something about it, And then when you call, you go, did you get my letter? So, or did you get my email? Being able to like, did you get my text? And being able to like start that conversation with that. Why are you excited? Why did you choose this career? Give me an EOS. Like, new people have cool stories right away of being able to help people buy a house, get a refinance, whatever it is. Tell a story, because stories connect to people. But there really is no wrong way. Like, these are all great ideas and easy to do. But the most important thing is just be Nike. Just do it.
Yeah.
And you know, my dad goes, look, Chris, I don't care if you call grandma, because just starting grandma like starts to build the momentum, and eventually you're going to get more deals. So who are you going to call first to start off with? The people that you love and dear the most are the people that will give you the most slack as you work through it. By 10 calls in, are you better than the first call? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's, you warmed up and now you're ready. And then you're gonna end it and you're gonna go, that wasn't so hard.
Yep.
That wasn't so hard. Don't do more than 25 at a time either.
Why is that?
Well, I want you sharp. I don't want it to be like making a pizza where it's the same pizza over and over and you become stagnant.
Right.
And so like 25, take a break. And then it keeps you sharp. And then, you know, and then you get to tomorrow and you got to do another 25. Well, it's not that big a deal. If you try to do 100 in one day, then tomorrow's going to really stink because you're like, I ain't going to want to do it.
Do you ever find yourself getting into a zone where you're like, man, I'm like sharpest now? You hit 25 and you're like, I could do 25 more. Or do you just ride that out?
I'm a check off person.
Yeah.
So if I'm like, I have to do this before I'm done, then I'll complete that task to whatever number that is normally.
Yeah.
Me personally. Some might be like, you're like a gym guy, you know, which I'm not very good at. And you're like, I can do 5 more. And then I would say, do it. If you feel like you've got the mojo and you're in it, do it. But like, if you're opening up a new company of whatever it is, what are you going to do to let everybody know that you're doing it?
Yeah.
You're going to market yourself in some different ways, but there's nothing better to market ourselves than this. This is the best marketing tool we have. Although many loan officers want the cheat code, and I want to give it to you. There isn't one. The ones that do the most, they just accepted it that there's not a cheat code. There's no way to cheat this out. But actually, once you get going, whether you're an introvert or not, it actually is kind of fun. Getting yourself there, I get it. It's a journey, it's a process, but I promise it'll change your life and your business.
1000%. So I kind of want to take a little bit of a pivot since we're halfway through this. And if you guys do want to drop any comments of things you want me to ask Chris, but this is kind of the part that I'm really excited about. When we talk sales, the stuff that you give is always for me, the biggest takeaway is like you simplify something that I think a lot of us will work up in our heads. And watching you execute it is as beneficial as being told it, to be honest. Like when you call me from time to time, and it's one of my favorite, whenever I see your phone ring, like I smile before I pick it up. And it's like a perfect, that is one of the actions that you do. And I enjoy being on the other side of that. Like it's fun for me to see Chris's face pop up on my phone. I'm like, yes, what's up, man? And the other cool thing that I've actually taken away from being on the other side of this call is because you are very good at managing your time, our calls are extremely brief. And that does not take away the impact that like we cover an insane amount of stuff and you're like, all right, got to roll. And then we're done. And I look down, I'm like, that was an 2-minute call, maybe. But all of a sudden, it's like me and Chris touch base. We're closer than we've been in the weeks between talks. Like the value of that. And so sometimes I get nervous because I like calling people and sticking on the phone. This is kind of going back into sales. I want to transition out of this, but that is one thing that I wanted to share. Being on the other end of yours is like this doesn't need to be 30-minute phone calls. It doesn't need to take your time up because that's beneficial to you and the person on the other phone, right? So then when I see your phone, even when I'm like, oh, I got to call in 5 minutes, you're still picking up because you know it's going to be quick. We get to the point, we share the good stuff, and then we move on. One side tangent on being able to just call your database, I think is really cool from you. Okay, one of the things that we started talking about it, and I actually want to continue a conversation that me and you just had in Orlando a week ago. I asked you, do you get stressed? And you're like, yeah, I get stressed. And one of the things for me, like building a business and watching like how many businesses you operate, how many people you manage, like when I look at the things that stress me out, the size of that for you is so much larger. But when I'm with you, you seem like you're always consistent and always the same. Tell me about that. Do you get stressed? Why does it not feel like it to me?
Well, I mean, I don't know if I'm psychotic and I'm really good at putting it in a box in the back of my head. But I feel like stress comes in. First of all, there are 3 spots of stress. You have a choice to rebound, you have a choice to stay stagnant, or you have a choice to break. And stress does it in different ways to all of us. And you know, I've been at all 3. But the trick is, how quick can you rebound? And we can't rebound until you can come up with a plan or how you're going to handle it. And then once you say, this is how I'm going to handle it, then it starts to release. But it never releases until you get to a spot where you're like, okay, you have to deal with it. And many don't want to deal with it. Well, then the pressure never goes away. It never does.
But deal with it doesn't mean solve it, right?
Right. Like some things you can solve. Sometimes the hardest stress is the things you can't solve or out of your control.
Yep.
Talking it out with someone else that you truly trust also releases pressure, and maybe gives another look at it. Maybe we're looking at it wrong. But like mortgage is stressful. It is. We have closing dates, we have commitments, we made promises. There's just lots of parts of business besides managing people and team and all that. I mean, it doesn't matter your position in mortgage. It is stressful. Yeah. And it creates different stressor points all the way through. But the ability to bounce is the ability to be able to stay consistent. Consistent, it is the second key. Like if we could ask and stay consistent, you're just going to be a rock star in mortgage. But pressure, I might have told you this. I go, how do you deal with pressure? I go, I just deal with it. Like I deal with it head on.
Yeah.
And I thought about after I said that, I was like, well, is that 100% true? 100% true. And I'm like, I mean, I would say majority of the time. Like, has pressure ever got to me where I break down or cry? Yep, it's happened. But I'm like, a 5-minute rule, right? I get my 5 minutes, and then I got to figure out a way. I got to figure out the fix or what I'm going to do with it. How am I going to fix it? Because guess what? Next week, you might get something different. And if we can't figure out a way to work through that, it messes us up. And it could ruin, like, don't ever let it ruin the moment, but don't let it ruin the day, the week, the month.
Yeah.
And that's the key, man, because it will. It's done it to me. And then I'm a jerk to everybody else. I'm never going to be able to call my database or never going to be able to. I'm like, I'm done. I'm done. Check me out. I'm done. I might as well go golf or something. Sometimes I got to go out and get out and clear my head.
Yeah, that's huge.
And then I'm ready to go again. So, self-help in this business is crucial.
One of the things I'm picking up as you're saying this is it sounds like the way, again, the story we tell ourselves, right? And I think this comes from experience of situations that you've encountered. And I ask you that, is this just the way you've always been, or is that something you've developed? And you're like, it's developed. That was when we were in Orlando. And I think one of the things that I'm hearing you say and watching you do is that any sort of progress in a stressful situation reduces that level of stress. right? So it's not like, okay, the problem's here, solve it and you feel less stressed. Like, well, obviously, but a lot of times the reason I'm stressed is because I can't solve it that easy,
Yeah.
right? And so what I'm hearing you say is it sounds like even just one step towards that has a drastic impact on the level of stress. And so taking that action rather than just holding that weight and wallowing in it is like, what is one step or one thing or a plan, even just architecting the plan of how you're going to get there. Am I picking up?
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny. You see loan officers that deal with stress in different ways, and one way is to go hide in the closet,
Yeah.
right? Well, hide in the closet never fix nothing, and you're like, okay, I'll come out when it's fixed. You're like, well, dude, you're never going to be able to come out. And so I was just like, well, I know that way doesn't work. Like, what other way works? And I worked with a really good therapist to be able to continue to help me stay level.
Mm.
And I just feel like if you want to, you can get a great mortgage coach, which they've changed my life. You talk about investing in yourself. Therapists in our business will help you grow your business farther than you've. They don't even know how freaking good they are. That they should be. They're the secret to a lot of people out there, and they just are too scared to tell you that they actually have a therapist that actually helps them grow their business.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, I've learned more from him uh, than maybe any coach ever, and I can't wait to get to that next call, right? Because I get to talk all that stuff, and then he gives me another perspective.
And everything we're talking about is mental, right? The stress, the call reluctance, the reaching out to database. And so someone who specializes in the mental side, whether they know the business or not, you can have the best sales coach in the world, but if you're mentally not in the right place, then those tactics don't work. And that I think is the biggest difference between the people doing massive volume and the people who aren't. It's the mental edge. And so that is one of the things on our list is investing in yourself and investing in your business. Brad put in the comments of you're great at what you do. I've seen you speak at events. How do you always come up with new ideas? Seems like you're always 2 steps ahead with ideas relating to sales and marketing. Does this have anything to do with investing in yourself?
Oh, it has everything to do with it. I mean, I've always loved to think about like how to do it different. So naturally, I'm always thinking about how to do it different. And I'm playing with it. That's why I love role play so many times, because you'll just say something, you're like, whoa, that was different. That might really work. And I know many people hate it. Like some of my loan officers just hate it.
Yeah.
But I watch them when they go live. They're so freaking good. I'm like, why do you hate it? You're like really good at it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Brad, wow, thank you for the comment. But more importantly, I think when you invest in yourself, I tell everybody this: I'm just a really good Xerox machine.
Mm.
When I listen to someone speak, I'm going to get something. I'm going to steal something. When I listen to you speak, I'm going to steal something. When I hear someone or I listen to a podcast, I'm always thinking, what could I take from that? No matter the industry they're in, no matter what. Like, I want to figure out what I can learn, or I can repurpose, or I can bring back and implement. And so if you want to be good in mortgage, be a really good Xerox machine and be a really good at implementing, because many of us go to these conferences, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they go back and nothing changes. I'm like,
The vast majority. Yeah.
I'm not going to be away from my family and things that I love to do for nothing. I think my management group hates it when I go somewhere, because they know Monday I'm coming back with 5 things we got to implement.
Yeah.
And I delegate it out and then do it. Now, if you don't have people to delegate, don't take on too much, because you won't get anything done. So you
Right.
have to say 1 or 2 things. But that's the key. Like, always be learning, always be Xeroxing, and always be implementing. If you could do that, no telling where you could go. You're going to pass me up.
It's funny because as Brad put that is one thing that stands out with you, which is why at the beginning of this when I say that you are one of the sharpest people in the entire industry. And I'm talking wholesale, banking, mortgage, originate, like, and this isn't just a flatty, this is the honest truth. Like, the reason that you should be in everybody's top 5 in this entire industry is because of exactly what Brad said. Like, it does feel like this endless pit of threads I pull with you, and the knowledge that you have goes deep. The thing that I've seen, and I actually led a group of people, this was like 4 months ago, and we're talking about different characters. It's a branding workshop, right? About who we are and these people we admire and the things that we want to take away from it. And you were one of the people I brought up. And one of the things that I think is so cool that I am not doing a good enough job at, and I don't think I ever will, and I hope that's the case. I'll keep pushing myself to want to do this more. You are a incredible student of everyone and everything. Our very first interaction was you being a student of wanting to dive into social media, right? And I think that's so neat because my experience when I first got in this industry in 17 is I see people and they get very good at one specific thing and they beat that into the ground, and that is all they do. And they will never relent on this. It is like, no, this is how we do things. It's like, well, maybe you can make content. No, make your calls. Well, maybe we could do email marketing. No, make your calls, right? Like, that's super common. And with you, it's like, yes to all of it. Let's try all of it. I want to learn everything there is to learn. And it's funny that this is something I've talked about with groups about you behind your back, is being a lifelong student and learning things. And I think when people get to the level that you're at, it gets harder because you have to start feeling like, okay, I probably know more than everybody else. You've succeeded, you've made it to this level. And so it's uncommon to see people, I think, continue to be students of the game. And so I think that's a massive thing that you just shared that I hope people actually realize and take, because there are people that have a ton of room to grow that I'll talk to, and they feel like they know everything and they don't want to learn, they don't want to grow. I think that
it is the most unattractable trait you could ever give, is a know-it-all. Like, I sat with front of 2 loan officers a couple weeks ago, and they were both know-it-alls. And then we talked about their production. Of course, neither one did nothing. And I'm like, okay, it makes sense now. And then in the end, they begged me for this contact, for some help in this area. And I made sure I gave it to him because I felt like that was the thought that I wanted him to change, which was change to learn. And but in the beginning, I was like, oh boy, this is rough.
Yeah.
And but in the end, they wanted to learn, and they needed this contact to be able to learn. Ugh, but in the beginning, it was tough. And look, you don't think some of the greatest athletes in the world don't go back to their coaches and go, I want to be better? Like, don't tell me they just go back and go, keep me the same. But loan officers we all say, keep me the same. If I can just do the same. I'm like, bro, the same is less.
Yep.
The same is less because everybody else is growing. So you got to grow with. I don't know. Maybe it's the right thought process. Maybe it's wrong. I don't know, but it's mine.
It's 1000% the right one. I was at I was speaking at an event with this guy, Todd Herman, was Kobe Bryant's mindset coach. Yeah. He was the creator of the Black Mamba, right? Like Kobe's alter ego. Really, really cool. If you guys haven't heard of Todd Herman, what he teaches is awesome. But when he tells the story of when Kobe called him, Kobe did it anonymously, right? So Todd's network has these connections, and Kobe somehow got his contact. And so someone says like, hey, a pretty high profile person is going to call you. And he's like, you could tell Kobe's voice immediately, right, when he gets on the phone, you know. But Todd's like, all right, this is an anonymous person. But it was because Kobe felt like he had lost his edge. And when he had lost his edge, he was still one of the greatest players in the NBA. At the time, he's saying, I lost my edge, right? And that's what's so cool about people at the top, is like that thing of, I know I can be better. I know I can do more. You become really resourceful at that point. And it's the same, like if you're Tiger Woods, who do you go to? You're the greatest golfer ever. He still has a coach, right? Kobe Bryant's at the time the greatest player in the NBA, but he's still willing to, like, I can take things from different people regardless of industry. And he finds the mindset person, creates the Black Mamba, and then this incredible, series of events happens. So yeah, that was one of the investing in your business and becoming a student and being a lifelong student. I think definitely one of the biggest takeaways that the people listening to this can have. Because that's something
Yeah,
I've
don't
definitely
let fear paralyze you. Like
Mm,
thinking you lost your edge or you're not relative or I'm older or I'm too young or whatever the crap that you tell yourself that you think don't like all of us at one point in time think we lose our edge, by the way.
mm,
And then we have a choice. All right, figure out how to get it or let fear hit it.
mm.
And fear will set it back even further. And then being able to make a difference is harder even yet. And so you're like, okay, I'm gonna, if I think I lost my edge, I'm gonna seek counsel. And if seeking counsel is the best thing that you can do to get you over that point the quickest. You
Mhm.
can do it by yourself, but it's not as quick by seeking counsel to get you over it.
I think there's also understanding that that feeling is a superpower out of the gate. Like if you're feeling that, it means you know you are capable of more. That in itself is a massive thing. So I don't
Yeah.
think that's ever something that you should have a negative. And even like you said, if there's the fear of what you do with it, I think first step is acknowledge the only people that feel that are people that know they're capable of something greater. That in itself is an amazing thing that you're feeling.
Yeah.
Right? I constantly feel like I need to be doing more. I've lost my I need to do this thing. And that's a conversation I constantly have with myself is like the moment I stop feeling that is probably not going to be a great time. Right? If I feel like that I've got everything under control, I've reached what I can reach. That's what I'm fearful of.
Yeah. And by the way, doing all these things, though you will say, I want everybody to hear this. It is boring,
Mm,
but boring is good because it's repetitiveness a little bit and you're gonna like fight it a little. And then and then it could become many people quit doing the things that actually got them where they wanted to go because they got bored. And I guess bored was bad. And I'm like, sometimes boring is good. You can add flares to it to change it up a little, but like don't quit boring because boring is the basics. And boring keeps you grounded. And many loan officers fight that a little bit, and then they're like, phew, and they're like, what the frick happened? And you're like, dude, you freaking got bored. And you got to go back to being bored again because that's where it's good.
yeah.
And I mean, it feels weird for me to even say it right now, but I feel like it's the truth.
It one and in when we're just talking about basketball, I look at like Steph Curry. It's like I want that. I want that. He's the number one. He's the best. He's got how many shots a day does Steph Curry do? It's absurd,
Crazy.
more than anyone. That's
Has to be
boring.
boring.
The same shot over and over. You look at Tiger Woods. What does that dude's day to day? Every single shot over and over and over and over. It is boring. That is how you become great. And then we see the result of that and think like, well, Tiger Woods' life doesn't look boring. Look at his yacht. Look at the championship. Look at the fame. What do you do to get there? Right. And then
Boring
even
stuff.
every big producer that you see in mortgage. Oh man, look at their paychecks. They're speaking. They're doing this. They're doing this. They did something boring to get there. I love that. That's a phenomenal call out. Okay, because we're getting shorter on time. This is one of the things that I really wanted to dive into.
Okay.
A year ago, I got to co-speak at one of your events with all your A's and all your LOs from Windsor and Plains Commerce. One of the coolest events that I've gotten to speak at, the people that you brought in were like some of the highest level people in our industry. It was amazing. Like the other people on that stage, I was like, I don't think I belong here. Like these are the hitters of hitters.
You belong there. Yeah.
And one of the coolest takeaways for me when I was there was after the event or after like day one at the hotel lobby, everyone's just mingling in like the bar area. And it was a couple other of the speakers that I was sitting talking to, and we were all talking about it. It's like this culture is unbelievable. When your name would get brought up, every one of your employees, like how highly they thought of you, and like the vibe, everything you curated in that was immediately like palpable. Like me and we were talking about this, like this is unreal. Like how happy everyone seems, but also that they're all pushing themselves these levels. And so, what do you think? And there's a few different threads I want to pull in here because I think they're important. But what do you think makes a great culture for a company?
Mm. You wouldn't believe how many loan officers come to our group and like a visit for a day, which we love. Or we do these playbooks where you're like live sitting underneath the hood. I coach my LOs right in front of them. And they leave and they go, I have to work for a place that has accountability.
Mm.
And yet many owners say, if I had accountability, they might quit.
Mm.
And it's like that one thing that holds some back where like, oh no, I can't do that. You don't understand. I'm
Yes.
like, dude, I understand. So two things I learned. If you get in the weeds with them and you have accountability, they'll follow.
Mm.
And two is they want a culture where they feel like they can win. And so, and you said, do you invest in yourself? Yeah. But I gotta invest in if my want my group. I got some of the loan officers been with me since '06, right? Like I gotta stay ahead of them and I gotta invest in them. And that means investing in them. I give their stats daily. No loan officers left behind. So I track apps and locks every day at 7:01 p.m. every day. And everybody gets the report and everybody like drops anything they do at 7:01. It's like crazy. I go, what do you do at 7:01? Check my email. Why do you do that? Because I want to see where I am and where I rank for the day. Like if you could create that culture where people want to figure out how to win each day, you don't have to worry about the end of the month.
Mm.
You don't have to worry about the quarter, the semester, or the end of the year. It like takes it out. If they have no apps and all locks, there's no new business. If there's all apps and no locks, there's no conversion. Like it's so quick to see. Boom, problem. Let's go fix it. What's wrong? And people in that type of environment, it's amazing to watch them. By the way, every one of them, I don't have that big a group, but and that's part of it, by the way. The bigger the group, it would be harder for me.
Yeah.
And so the guys that have, 1,000 loan officers, it's a different deal. That's not my deal, but
Yeah.
that's a different deal. And to watch what they get done and do simply from a little few things, give me an hour a week is my commitment. Give me an hour a week and look at the report. That's it. And the rest, they take care of themselves.
Mm.
But you got to pour people in. You got to bring people like you and different speakers across the country, and you got to do things to keep them in front. Also, as your investment back into your loan officers, don't hire loan officers and then invest nothing into it. You will get nothing back.
That event that I was at was like, if that was an open to the public event, you would have to sell a lot of tickets, I'm sure, to cover the cost of putting that on.
I caught a lot of crap for that event because they'd say, how come I didn't get invited? And I'm like, it was just for our people.
Which when you told me about it, I'm like, what? Like this is like a legitimate, like this would be one of the top events that an LO could come to with the, like what you put together. And you're like, it's just for my team. So do they pay to attend it? You're like, no.
Yeah.
That is insane. Super, super cool. One piece on creating this culture. The context that I want to give to the people listening, whether you're an individual LO, whether you're leading a team, whether you own the company, I think learning about culture is incredibly valuable because I think culture can be built from the inside as well. Like I don't think it always needs to come from the top down. If you are lucky enough to be at a company like Chris's, where that leadership comes from the top down, creates that culture, but you and I both know from the inside, no matter how strong a leader is, if there's toxicity, if there's things going wrong, like that can break a culture. The same thing can be said for building one. When you as a contributor, if you're just a LO at a branch, you can create and curate a culture like this. So the context of why we're talking about this, no matter who it is listening to this, incredibly valuable and important. One of the things that I tie back is like I played a lot of sports growing up, and so I had a lot of different coaches, and there were certain coaches that were like my buddies, and I had a really good personal relationship with. They didn't necessarily push me to my limits as a player. There were some that did both, where I'm like, dude, that was my best coach I've ever had. They got the absolute most out of me. And then there was coaches that I had, like there's one specifically that comes to mind. He pushed me to levels that I didn't know I was capable of. Best coach I've ever had as far as like getting me to perform at my absolute highest. I had a very hard time building any relationship with him. I haven't talked to him since I graduated high school. I would love to, but there was no relationship side there. He got the most out of me. How do you find that balance of being that rare breed of I have relationship with people, but I also push them to their limits?
Well, I mean, I think they all know that I'm going to tell you the truth.
Mm.
So if the dress don't fit, you're going to hear it. And sometimes that's hard to be able to do because, you know, an owner or whatever will be like, if I tell them the truth, they might leave or whatever. And I'm like, if you tell them the truth, they might, if you don't tell them the truth, they're going to leave anyway. And plus, it's our job to help them be their best. That's why they chose us.
Mm.
And so I'm going to tell them the truth, but I've laughed, I've cried with my LOs. I have, I'm honest. And you know, I want to be in the fight with them. And then, you know, I've helped a few LOs that were broken and they're like, I'll follow the plan. I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it. And I'm like, let's do it. And, it's amazing to watch what they've done. But I've also, we fired an LO, Don and I fired an LO for lying on what they were doing on a day-to-day basis.
Mm.
Like, what do you think that's told the whole culture? You would think that said, oh, they're drill sergeants. Like, do you know that almost all the other originators in town won't work for me because they're scared? But then all the other the ones that work for me make the most.
Yeah.
They have the best balance and they do the most. And we have for years market share wise. And I'm like, why wouldn't you? Like, I'm so curious. Why wouldn't you? And it's because simply misunderstood.
Mm.
And LOs want it. They just don't know it yet. So you show them. It took me a year to get everybody converted. That was in 14 or 15. It took me a year to do it. So it's not an overall process, but it is a process.
I think one of the things too that stands out, like when I look at the parallel of coaches and leaders in a company, this coach I had, Coach Henry Rollins, greatest coach I ever had. I think that sweet spot of balancing where he was the one where incredible personal relationship on top of making me the best player I could be. When I know that you care, then whatever you do, whether it's you ripping me, you yelling at me, doing whatever, that never has this, you know what, man, Chris, like, I don't need this. I don't want this. That feeling never comes when you know that you care about the person. Or if it's like, well, Chris is just trying to make the most money he can, and I'm the source of it, right? Mm-hmm. Which I think is a lot of leaders. And it kind of comes back to the same thing with the call reluctance and everything else, is like, do you have a heart? Do you care? Because if you do, all those make sense. And I think that's something like when I talk to your employees, like all of those people know, not think, they know that you would do anything to make sure that you get the best out of them. So if there's a time where you have to hold people accountable, where you call them on their stuff, that balance of like, what, like you said, why other owners, like, why don't you do this? Like, people will leave, they'll quit. If they know that you care about them and you're trying to get the best of them, they won't. Yeah. If it's like, yeah, dude, I know you make more if I go do 1,000 calls. I don't want to do 1,000 calls. Stop yelling at me. You'll lose people. So I think that part is huge, is you actually have to care about people to create a culture that's incredible versus just yourself. And the other thing you said is you're in the weeds with them.
Yeah,
you walk the walk, man. Like that is something that is really fun to see. Like I said, I've gotten the call. I know you do your calls. I know you do your outreach. I know you lock the door and do the same task that you're trying to tell them to do. Which, dude, even more motivating for the people that work for you. We're at the hour. One last kind of question that if you could summarize this, because I think this is probably the most important thing for people in our industry, is making sure that you don't sacrifice your relationships in the process of building a business. And I just got to spend in Orlando. I got to spend a couple days with you and your wife.
Mhm.
And one, Shalise is like the coolest human on the planet.
She is.
She's the best. And we were talking about it with Christine in the car. She's like, it's so cool how like you're just how happy you are right now. Right. And I forget the word she used, but Shalise is tagging along. We're driving hours, we're speaking at events, and she's along with this. What advice would you give to producers on balancing the relationships, not only with your wife, I also see it with your kids? And that's something that I admire. And I don't think there's any amount of money or production in the world that would ever be worth losing your family and your relationships over. Can you speak to that for a minute?
Yeah, I mean, broken relationships is something that runs pretty true through mortgage,
Mhm.
for one. And it is something that I hadn't always been perfect at.
Mm,
And I I will say that a couple things. Number one, a great calendar will give you great family time.
mm,
One. Two, great communication with a great calendar will take it to the next level. And you know, being able to share life with Shalise and both my kids are in mortgage. So being able to share life and work with them is the greatest gift ever. Like I used to hold stress away from Shalise,
mm,
and now like we talk about her. She's like, "You're off," and she just knows me so good. She is the greatest coach that I could have in catching things ahead of me even catching it.
wow.
But I just love to. My buddy goes, "Where do you want to be?" And he goes, "Wherever my wife is." And I go, "That is so stinking cool." And you know, I just appreciate that. I think I scare every once in a while. Like Shalise lets me dream, and talks it out, but then yet keeps me grounded.
Mm,
And there's sometimes where I don't want to listen, uh, and and I will tell you, I eventually do, but there's times where I don't want to.
yeah.
And and she is. I'm just so lucky. And then to have both kids in mortgage, one in retail, one in wholesale, and watching them go through their journeys has been really. It has just been joy at the highest. Do I want to push them harder? Yeah, I do. But they got to find their spots, and they've both done a great job of finding their spots in that. And Shalise is a good also a big part of that of them too, because she's different than me, and sometimes she's a better listener than me, and I'm not. I'm like, nope, I know what you're gonna say. Like I pre-predict, and then I say da 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 da. And so as she would listen and then get to the same spot, but she's a better listener.
Mm,
So it's fun. It was really fun to be able to travel. We were a couple hours in the car together,
yeah.
and you can't fake it that long. If it's either
No.
real or it's fake, but it's fun. And Shalise loves people.
Yeah.
She is so kind. She loves entertaining. We always bring loan officers on our playbook to our house, and Shalise gets to love on them and entertain, and she just loves it. Uh, and she's great at it. So that's one of the things. Can't wait to have you out for a playbook to be able to show
Oh,
you
I
that.
can't wait. The, if you don't mind, if we could stick on this for a couple more minutes, because like I said, I think this is something that people need to hear. The two things I heard you say is basically an insane level of intention, right? Your calendar, communication. Those are two things that take a lot of intention. They're not accidental. But if I'm listening to this and I'm like, okay, Chris, it sounds like you just hit the lotto and got a really cool wife.
Mm.
I think people can naturally go there, right? Because it sounds like the quality she has. You can share your stress with her. You can share the stuff you're going through on the day to day, and she helps. If I go home and dump everything on my wife, she's going to be mad, right? If someone is thinking that, is that the case? Did you just hit the lotto? Obviously, yes. But are there things that have helped get to that point? Right? Because I think that there are some things that people can do to help create that relationship. What are your thoughts on that?
Mm. Well, when Shalice and I married young, and we were two spoiled brats, so we fought it out. I always show everybody the scar she gave me from the grill fork where she stabbed me one time, uh, and she's like, "Oh my gosh!" But I mean, like, look, our marriage has been ups and downs and working through like any marriage, but we worked at it.
Hmm.
And when it got tough, I worked harder.
Hmm.
And she did too. And we fought for it. And there were many reasons why we fought for it. A, we believed in it. B, our kids. And it was probably easy throughout. I've been married 32 years, so it was easy at different points in time to say, and instead, we had to take a step back and say, okay, let's figure this out.
Mm.
And I think those each steps grew the marriage.
Yes.
Like, I don't think there's someone that says, no, it's just been easy all the way through. I'm like, wow, I wouldn't be able to relate to that. I mean, if you ask Shalise, I'm probably not easy to live with. And I'm highly competitive. I'm always thinking something, I'm always on to something. And my mind's running 100 miles an hour. I don't always get all my words out right. I'm a little OCD. I mean, I got issues,
Yeah.
and I love it that she loves me for who I am, and I love her for who she is.
I love that you just shared that, Chris, because I think it is easy to look at like the end result of what you have and just be like, cool, bro, you got a really easy wife who's understanding and wants you to grow and supports your dreams. Like you hit the lottery. I did not. But knowing how intentional that was and how much work that took, it's really similar to everything else we talked about today, right? Like, why did you pour into your marriage that much? Because you care. And when your partner knows you care, they're willing to do more. The same way your employees are willing to do more when they know you care. And so knowing that, like, when you're in that marriage and you actually want to have a good, solid marriage, it makes your partner more receptive to those things. Um, I think that's an incredible testimonial of like that is something that you have to work for. And as much as it looks like, cool, Chris got this awesome wife, she's not mad that he's talking about his dreams, it brings the stress home. That is something that was built, and I don't think it was built easily or overnight. And I think that's a really good reminder for a lot of us because I've had a lot of conversations with with people in our industry, and exactly what you just said. I'm always stressed. There's things on my mind. There's a lot going through it. Sometimes I come home and my wife's like, "Hey, are you even here?" So many people feel that, and then they assume it's just like, "Well, my wife doesn't understand. She doesn't get it," or my husband. Not to exclude, like if this happens with both sides, right? They don't understand. They don't know. I can't talk about my business with them. So thank you for sharing that because I know that is something that I mean, me personally, I'm always striving to like my marriage is the most valuable thing in my life. And so after last week spending it with you, there were definite takeaways that I was watching and observing and things that I'm like, I need to do this as a husband. I'm watching the outcome of like, this is cool what how yours and Shalice's relationship is, but what is your role in that? And those are things that I'm trying to mimic. So thank you for sharing that. And I hope that's helpful to everybody else as it is to me. And I just know the conversations that I've had with people in the industry. So that's something I honestly wish we could do an entire podcast on alone.
We could talk about it for a while.
Yeah, I think that is huge. Thank you, Chris, for joining Coaching with Trev today.
Yeah, this was so fun.
This was a blast.
I was looking forward to it. When I woke up, I was pretty excited.
I've been excited for this too for months. We've talked about it. If you guys want to see another episode where Chris is the guest, because I think we scratched the surface and covered 1/1000th of what Chris can talk about. I think this is something personally that you should do from time to time, quarterly something, because there's so much value that you pack in. And I love listening to the show and I love what you're able to extract from your guests, but also the world needs more Chris and insight. And like the more time I spend with you, the more I get like more people need this. This is like the coolest. I always leave our conversations feeling better, feeling more motivated, and have so many takeaways that I go implement in my business, and they really move the needle, and also just my day-to-day life. So one, I just want to say thank you, Chris, for everything you've done for me. I think it's a lot more than you even realize. Whether it's our interactions live or just me being able to listen to you or learn through osmosis. And the one episode that I was on of coaching with Chris, that gets brought up all the time when I'm speaking at events or people message me on Instagram. And so I know that you're making a difference in a lot of people's lives. And so keep doing the thing, Chris. Thanks for being on here and answering all these questions.
Thank you, buddy. And thank you for being you. Like, I love learning from you. You've taught me a ton. We didn't even get to cover that part. But like, if you don't know Trevor, if you don't know Linkspot, you better check it out because you're going to get left behind. What he is doing is really cool. I believe in it. I think it's going to make a difference. So thank you, Trevor.
Appreciate it. Until the next one, coaching with Trev.
See you.